There are some that would say there's nothing more soothing than riding the rails. You set off on a train and explore the countryside and relax, letting the world pass you by. If leisurely pursuits are your goal, then the final station from two-man studio Do My Best and publisher tinyBuild may not be for you. If you're looking for an intense 5 to 6 hour experience, then all aboard. The infected are coming. Now, the question of what the infected are is something that isn't entirely clear to me after finishing the game's campaign. The title screen gives the appearance of zombies, while the game itself depicts darkness incarnate. While the game does open up and explain them in short bursts, nothing feels truly crystallized. Now, I'm going to do everything I can not to spoil the game's storyline. I will say that the story in the final station is truly what you make of it, and often not by choice. What I mean by this is much of the story comes from the passengers on your train. You pick up passengers up to 6 in each act at different way stations. From there, you become responsible for their health, hunger, and general well-being. When on board your train, supplies are limited for medkits and food, so you have to be careful about maintaining passenger health. It should also be noted that you share medkits with your passengers, so if you're reckless during missions, they may not survive the ride. Additionally, there are different systems in operation aboard the train, with one that tries to fail during every ride. It's your duty to keep these going, usually through different, lightish mini-games. Neglect the system too long and your passengers will suffer from health issues. Now that issue where your understanding of the final station story is not always your choice, well, much of the game's story is given to you by your passengers. The hiccup of this is that said story is depicted through conversations that you can only hear if you're in the passenger cabin. These conversations become difficult to listen to when you're running from one end of the train to the other, grabbing food, medkits, answering instant message calls, which is also story stuff, and keeping your train operational. Your passengers are of course more than happy to pause their chat after you leave the room, resuming when you come back in, but the longer they chat, the lower their health and hunger go. Too low and they die, losing any financial resource or upgrade rewards they may bestow upon you at the act's completion. These train segments don't last too long, and it's not like you're kicked out till you choose to leave the train. But again, you may risk someone's death if you want to hear everything spoken of, which was honestly not worth it to me. I mean, not worth it in the sense of I wanted to keep my people alive and get the rewards, and risking running low on health kits or things of that nature didn't make sense just to hear that little itty bitty extra tidbit of information, not knowing when they were going to stop talking. But hey, maybe story isn't why you're here. Perhaps you're just in it to explore a 2D world and kill some infected. Hey, what's not to like about that, right? The combat and exploration gameplay loop of the final station is honestly a lot of fun, if a bit simple. At every stop you're dropped off with the goal of finding a code to allow your train to move on. You also have a secondary objective of finding survivors hiding out. All this exploration is fun and the combat is great as well. It's also amazing how intense these periods are, and that a simple darkness kind of creature could elicit such terror, at least as it did in me. It just goes to show how amazing the sound design of this game is, because for pure visuals, there's actually just not really all that much terrifying here. The story is depicted, there's a lot of things going on in the background and in the foreground, but it doesn't elicit that terror. Everything you get out of fear in this game, it's about the sound effects and the music. I mean, again, that's not to say there's anything negative of the visuals in the final station, because it is a gorgeous game with backdrops that I honestly may start using as wallpaper on my computer. But, getting back to the combat, while it is fun as mentioned, I don't feel it's as difficult as I would like it to be, and I'm not a person who typically likes a game to be difficult. I like to just play a simple game, have some fun, and kind of move on almost. But with this game, it just lacked a little bit of something. Yeah, I died a lot, but this felt like it was mostly my own stupidity, and honestly playing this game very late at night and being tired, because much of the game can be finished by simply meleeing enemies a few times, just till they crumble. You do have a small array of weaponry with limited ammo, but by the midway point I was rarely even using my guns. Most levels could be completed with maybe a single shotgun blast with complete ease. Combat was terrifying in the sense of I did run low on health because I would take damage, but I never used the med pack. At any level, the entire game, I just never felt there was a need to. I'd rather save them for my passengers. That terror of dying was there, but it wasn't something that I felt like it was caused by the enemies themselves. But if you're looking for some survival horror sort of thing, as such, you may be a little disappointed by the end of the game's second act. But no matter what, the final station is a lot of fun and an awesome experience from Do My Best, with, especially with being their first indie game. For $14.99 on Steam, I'm not sure if the experience is worth the cost, at least if you're doing this kind of how I did as a single playthrough game. While I'm not a huge fan of pre-orders, if this looks appealing to you, the 20% off pre-order bonus, which brings it down to $11.99, that price range may be worth it. I mean, you're gonna have to use your own judgment on this. I finished the game with one simple thought, something I tweeted out immediately at Bear Punch for those interested, and that was, what the fuck did I just play? And while this may sound negative, it's not. The game was just a bit of a mindfuck for me, because I don't actually know how the hell it ended. I'm still a little perplexed by this, and I might be thinking about this for a while to come, but, in its own way, that was an enjoyable, frantic kind of experience, which I loved. Give it a look, and maybe even a gander if you're looking to just have a fun anxiety attack one late night.